All right. So this is a question I've had in my mind, and I continue questioning it. And with all these reports and news stories and videos, viral videos with cops shooting people left and right, with pedophile criminals like Epstein, who is a multi-billionaire, and then you have the criminals who profited off, who were involved with Jeffrey Epstein, who now profited off of that, and they now have a high position in Trump's uh, in Trump's uh, Trump's uh, cabinet, or whatever the hell you want to classify it as. Uh, uh, you know, uh, you have white people who think very, very irrationally and insanely, not realizing the ultimate danger that when you allow racist, bigoted, hypocritical things to happen based on somebody's skin color, or the how their looks like, maybe like me, uh, or what religion they practice, and this whole thing of, oh, you went to jail, and now you're a criminal, so you must be a danger to society, when every indication is showing that a lot that an extremely high percentage of people are for these trumped up low offense crimes, such as drug possession, or drug addiction, or shoplifting, or jaywalking, or anything that's possibly insane. While real criminals, and who have massive impacts that affect all Americans, or no matter what you may look like, or what skin color you have. Uh, these are all things which basically screws you, because you can be placed into that position if a situation arises and you white people become an issue for the true top tier criminals, who are like the Koch brothers, who are like the Robert Mercers, who are like the Jeffrey Epsteins, who are the Betsy DeVosses, the Robert Mercers, the Trumps, the that idiot, that son-in-law of his. Uh, those are your criminals. Your Jamie Dimons, they're the criminals. These are the Walmarts, the Crafts, every NFL owner, every MLB owner. They're the top tier criminals. They're doing everything, including literally robbing you. And it's not a euphemism. They're literally robbing you. And they're not just robbing you of. Let me get the. Let me see if I can find my wallet here. They're not robbing you of this. Okay? This is not what they're robbing you of. It's the hours that you're spent working, all right, in backbreaking level labor, or sitting in an office crunching numbers, or standing in the grocery store punching keys, or stocking shelves, or in the construction sites and so on and so forth. It's your literal physical labor. It's the stress and anxiety which you go through. It's the physical damages that occur at the work site. It's being away from your wives, your children, your aunts, your uncles. It's paying exorbitant amounts for your electric and water, your cell phones and so on and so forth, your TV services. It's all this, and they're robbing you left and right. They're robbing us collectively, and they do not care, and I keep making this point, they do not care about your skin color. They may promote racism like the Koch brothers do, like Trump does, like Robert Mercer does, and the Betsy DeVosses do, and your Wall Street does. You know, one thing I do agree with is that Soros is a criminal. I don't care if he's Jewish. He's a criminal because he's using the system and he's helping to create the legislation and the policies that disadvantage all of us universally while keeping them on top, giving them the material resources through our back-breaking labor, through our mental and emotional stress, and keeping us away from our children, keeping us away from our from education that can make us more woke, more conscious. It's the laws and regulations that they put specifically to make sure that you can't get loans, even if you have the most world impacting idea, because only those who kiss ass, who know somebody, one of these criminals, or has a criminal that can, these upper echelon criminals that can actually forward you to somebody else, or you already have the material resources. This whole idea that some schmuck like us, like me, who collects early Social Security and $1,300 a month is substantial enough that I can get anywhere, that I can create jobs, I can start a business. When the Small Business Authority, all they give you is talk and talk and talk, but they don't actually give you anything to work with. They'll tell you, oh, it's a great idea. Like, I've done this several times. I've been told, oh, that's a great idea, that's phenomenal, it'll be incredibly successful, but they don't give me any assistance. And this whole thing with patents and trademarking and all that crap, guess what? Any of us who thinks that filing a patent is going to keep you secure for your idea, you're living in La La Land. Because there has been reports and many other things that show absolutely that patents and all that other stuff mean nothing. If one of these criminal elites wants what you create, they take it. They'll find a way to take it and disenfranchise you from it. Trump is talking about intellectual property stealing by the Chinese, but the U.S. criminal elites and the international criminal elites, okay, mostly from the Western world, do this on a minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, month by month, year by year. And am I sounding pissed? Am I sounding outraged? Yes. And it's not for me. There may be a small part that it should matter to me, but it doesn't really. I'm outraged. I'm angry for us. As a whole, as a collective. Look at my house. I can't even use this house to get ahead. And supposedly, owning a house gives you something to get yourself off and pick up your bootstraps. Well, that's not working. When I have difficulty paying for my fucking taxes, which are basically robbing me, and it's legitimate the way they can rob me. Why am I paying $100 or more, or far more, for fucking electricity? Why am I paying money for water? Why am I paying taxes at all? Why should I trust a system, a judicial system, that gives me a big fuck you? And I am everybody in the United States who does not have the opportunity to use my intellect, my creativity, my labor, or anything else to make an impact for us. Everything I come up with, I do it because I want to have a positive impact. Because I want to see our success. You know what? I want the United States to be the envy of the world. I want the United States to show and demonstrate in a concrete, conclusive way that we are, in fact, the moral and ethical and true way. I want every American to have everything that's basic that's needed without being overly burdened coming from every fucking direction. I want us to be, when we retire, I want us to be able to retire and if we want to go back to school, I want us to have access to education and not pseudo education that works in favor of these criminals, but real education. I want us, if we want to become mountain climbers or hikers, if we want to become painters, if we want to become entertainers, I don't care. When we retire, we should have the liberty to do what we want. If we want to sit in front of a beach, sipping champagne, we should be able to do that. We shouldn't have to worry about. We shouldn't have to worry about how we're gonna do that, because we got to continue to worry about paying insane amounts, because we gotta micromanage our money. I want our children, from the day they're born, to get the best fucking galactically supreme education. that gives empiric evidence. I want a history that is not based on lies. I want us all to be critical thinkers. I want a law enforcement, okay, who is actually law enforcement, who can actually think for themselves. So when they see a criminal policy that is affecting us, they won't carry out the orders. And they'll go after the criminals. So for you, police, and quote unquote law enforcement, I want to ask this question to you. Do you really serve and protect, or are you the bitch boys and bitch women? Because if you really want to serve and protect, you'll go after the actual criminals. You'll ignore the stupid, illegal, and discriminatory so-called laws and statutes and regulations and go after the actual criminals. If you have a judge who clearly is doing something illegal, you arrest that fucking judge. If you have a politician who is clearly making stuff that's illegal, that affects us all collectively, then you go after that fucking politician. If you have another supposed law enforcement officer, I don't care if it's federal or local or state, you go after them. I expect our law enforcement to be informed, to be smarter than the average bear, to know what is right and what is wrong. That is what I expect out of our law enforcement. I want a military who will not simply kowtow to the criminals, and I include the politicians because they are criminals. I expect the military not to throw away the lives of our sons and daughters and nieces and nephews, uncles and aunts, mothers and fathers for the material gain of the criminals. And the criminals are the top tier ones. They are the politicians, they are the officials, they are the wealthy. Does this mean everybody who's got wealth is a criminal? No. But everybody who contributes, who run the propaganda using media and print news and buys science, to create philosophy, those are the criminals. Those are the they. They are the criminals. The fact that you supposed law enforcement allowed the I'm blanking, but basically allowed that legislative policy, which allows major corporations and the ultra wealthy to buy the politics, and politics has become nothing more than I am a high criminal. When you allow the system to act like organized crime, all right, and this is not hyperbole, when they are actually doing organized crime and doing a protection racket, then you are part of the problem. You are the part of the criminality. You are the co-conspirators. You are the enablers. This whole thing of fake news, you know what? It's not a new thing. It's an age-old thing. Almost from the day that that television created, it became a tool of propaganda for the criminals, the elite criminals on top, the ones with legitimacy. Print, same way. So let's understand something. If we want prosperity and security, if we want equality, and if we want the benefits of a real and true democracy, then understand this. The criminals, the true, despicable, world-class, apocalyptic criminals, the worst of the worst, are always on top. It's like that saying, the cream always rises to the top. And the cream is the criminal. The one that rises to the top are the criminals. I really and truly hope that enough people see this and see how genuinely I am angry and outraged for us all. I do not like or condone our fellow Americans whom I consider to be my community, my family, going to enrich criminals and to give criminals the material wealth and thereby influence. I don't like my fellow Americans dying to enrich these people, these criminals. I don't like it. I don't want it. I value each and every one of us. So stop feeding the criminals. Stop listening to the criminals. Start going after the criminals. The criminals are not in your community. They're not in another community who do not have the power. Stop buying into it. Start going after the real criminals. This is not a new thing. Throughout the entirety of human history, the criminals have always been on the top. Are there criminals that are not top tier? Yes, there are. But a lot of those criminals who do despicable things, it's because the system has been made so that you have to battle, and you have to fight, and you have to think irrationally, psychotically, sociopathically to get ahead. And that's not a system any of us should want to live in. Because it ultimately is just killing ourselves. And while we're killing ourselves, the criminals are stealing and robbing us of everything. And not just material wealth. They're taking our ideas, our emotions, otherwise known as spirit in my book. They're taking everything, and we're allowing it because we're not focusing on the real criminals, the ones that create an atmosphere and a system that makes us makes us fight against ourselves, and thereby keeping them safe and secure. We need to take the security away from them. We need to demonstrate our willingness to disenfranchise the criminals. We need to put the fear of God into these criminals. Because there is no God, and God does not put the fear into them. We are the gods. We are the law. So it is our responsibility as God and the law and the collective to scare them fucking silly.